did do it last time. It drove me crazy.
It's the speakers.
Speakers up there? All the speakers, yeah. All right. We're ready. I'll call to order the Wednesday, December 15th monthly meeting of the Blythewood Town Council. Ask Ms. Cowan to conduct roll call, please.
Mayor Franklin.
I'm here.
Councilman Bowman.
Present.
Councilman Brock.
Here.
Councilman Griffin.
Present.
Councilman McHenry.
Present.
And Ms. Cowan, was a notification and posting of the meeting agenda completed in accordance with state law? Thank you. Gentlemen, before you, excuse me, is tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Please join Councilman Griffin with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Join me for a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you again, thanking you for gracing us with another day in this glorious land. We thank you for allowing us to get here safely. We thank you ahead for allowing us to get home safely. Bless each hand over this meeting, each voice over this meeting tonight, Heavenly Father, that we do the will of your work. Keep your hands and blessings upon our soldiers and our first responders, Heavenly Father. And watch over those during this holiday season that may be missing a few things, but only you can make those things right for them. We come to you, thank you. In your name we pray, amen.
We'll continue with council members' remarks. We'll start on my right, your left, Councilman Donald Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought you might start down here. All right, I will keep this brief, but I'm going to give a lot of thank yous. This is our last meeting, or last big meeting of 2021, and so I'd like to extend a few thank yous. I'd like to send a special thank you to our town staff, to our manor staff and support staff that have helped us, the town, get through this year. I'd like to say thank you to all the organizations that have dedicated their time, effort, and resources to advertising, promoting, and putting the town in a positive light. They hosted events, they brought people to our town, and for that we thank you. Special thank you to the Blythewood Historical Society for keeping the history and spirit of Blythewood alive. I'd like to send a special thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting together the Blythewood Parade at literally the last minute. Good job, Phil, and the rest of your staff. Thank you. And last but not least, a heartfelt see you later to Sarah Lynn Yarborough. I wish you the best on your future endeavors, and you will always have a home here in Blythewood. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Baltman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to follow that up with a few thank yous of my own. Saturday, the 11th of December, VFW Post 8346 hosted Santa Claus. And I want to thank Barbara and Tanya for putting that notice in the paper. We had over 200 people up there. Santa was delivered to us by the Fairfield County Fire Service, Dutchman Creek Fire Station, brought him in on the fire truck. For 2 hours, those children sat there and enjoyed Santa Claus's presence. And it was because of, I think, y'all both advertising in your papers. Most of the people at Lake Wateree VFW came from Blythewood. So for that, I'm grateful, and I thank both of y'all for doing that and putting those into community action items in your paper. And Phil, I do want to thank you and your staff. That was a wonderful parade on Sunday. One of the largest crowds I think I've seen. And I think a lot of it attributes that people were waiting. We missed a year, and people just wanted to get out and feel normal again. Much like Santa Saturday. We didn't have it a previous year, and we had it this year, and it was such a wonderful success. Followed up by the town of Blythewood's Christmas parade, and your staff did a wonderful job. We appreciate what you did. And I too appreciate everything this town staff does for our town. I know they were called upon to make some special moves yesterday, and I think the truck looks good in front of Town Hall. Wish it hadn't had to been moved, but I'm thankful that they were able to move in such a timely manner. And I spoke to Sarah Lynn yesterday as I came to Town Hall, and I thanked her for what she's meant in her time here, and wish you well as you go back to school, and wish you nothing but the best. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, sir. Councilman McHenry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for those people who are joining us live tonight, as well as those people joining us on YouTube. I too want to echo the comments that have already been made with the round of thank yous, particularly to staff. I think everybody up here will say thank you for what y'all do. I say all the time, y'all do this full time. We do this part time, and we get to have a monthly meeting, but this is what y'all do every day, all day, so we certainly appreciate it. Phil, the Chamber of Commerce Christmas parade was great. You're going to hear that echoed up here across the board as well, I hope. I had the opportunity to attend several of the events around town over the last month, from the tree lighting to the parade. Just a lot of good things going on in Blythewood. A lot of people out there interested in sharing their thoughts on how we can move Blythewood forward. So that's I always enjoy that. Had the opportunity also to meet with 5 small business owners over the last month at their small businesses, which is great in Blythewood, kind of the heartbeat of the town. And certainly wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season, as this will be our last regular meeting for 2021. And Sarah Lynn, I've already told you, but we're going to miss you. Appreciate everything y'all have done. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't be too long, as we'll echo and echo and echo up here all night long, but thank you all to the staff. Thank you for what you do, for not just me, but for everyone that we send to you. Y'all help out and step in a timely manner and fashion, and that's greatly appreciated. To Sarah Lynn, as we talked before, Godspeed to you, and I know you'll do well at whatever you set your heart and mind to, just as you've done here for the town of Blythewood. Phil, somewhere here. There you go, Phil. What a wonderful parade that you and the chamber put on. Awesome. Great turnout. I'm going to echo what Councilman Ballman stated. It was a huge crowd out here. And I think that just gave our citizens and other citizens around the area a chance to come out and enjoy good weather, good fun, friends. And by the way, afterwards, about every restaurant here in Blythewood was like jam-packed. I stopped at several places. I seen Councilman Ballman at Carolina Wings and stopped in there for a second, but it was just jam-packed everywhere. That me and some other folks ventured to after the parade. All that's being said, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you gentlemen up here, to your families, best wishes into the new year to each and every one of you. I wish you all a happy holiday and happy new year. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Move to the mayor's remarks. I'll keep it brief also. I want to also extend a thank you to all our volunteer commissioners on the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Board of Architectural Review, and the Planning Commission. Many of you are here tonight. We appreciate your volunteerism and your spirit to keep Blythewood moving in the proper direction and assist us as a council and get in depth with the citizens and their needs and echoing those needs to us. And I really appreciate your service going forward. Steve and the staff here, I mean, the holiday market was wonderful. You all are working week in, week out to include weekends. Often we don't recognize you enough, but I want to say thank you to everything that you all do for us here in the town of Blythewood. Tree lighting with Miss Cuffey was wonderful. The parade, of course, gets better and better every year. The decorations in town are just phenomenal. And that is a testament to the staff who continue to add a little bit something new. It's my motto here, Mr. Williamson will tell you, just take what we do and make it a little bit better every year. That's the least we can do as a council up here for our citizens. I was unfortunately away. My 97-year-old grandmother passed to be to heaven this past week, and I came back, and the first action I took is I saw Sarah Lynn's resignation and promptly denied it. So she will stay with us, I'm sure. Just kidding. But thank you, ma'am, for what you've done. It's bittersweet. We lose a great employee, but you're going to gain a great future in anything you do. If we can help you out, don't forget the phone number. Call us. To everyone, blessings for a new year. I wish you all prosperity and safety as we move forward this holiday season. Spend time with your families, hug people, tell them you love them. It was not a good year for my family, but God has assured me that next year is going to be even better. So I hope you all have a wonderful new year and be safe. With that, I'll conclude my remarks. Mr. Williamson, we will continue with Town Administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to express my appreciation for Sarah Lynn and her contributions to this town. She's been a very dependable, hardworking, and honest assistant. I have no doubt she'll succeed in her next career. The town has been very lucky to have her. I'd like to introduce Andrew Gadjadar, our new videographer back here, who is taking over some of Steve's responsibilities, and he'll provide us with a significant upgrade to our capabilities. And looking towards next year, we are moving forward. I've gotten responses back from all the councilmen that we're moving forward on plans to have an early budget workshop on Friday, January 28th, and I'll be in touch with more information as that date approaches. And also, we are finalizing the applications for hospitality tax funding, and the deadline for submitting those applications will be February 28th. We will have that application on the website soon, but we'll also notify the previous applicants directly. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Gentlemen, also in our packets, we have the minutes from the Town Council meeting of November 22nd, 2021, and the special call meetings of November 23rd, November 29th, November 30th, and December 7th, 2021. Be looking for a motion to amend or approve those.
The regular scheduled meeting of November the 22nd, the printed copy of the minutes do not reflect the corrections made on the emailed copy. Item old business, or new business, item 3, the Mayor Pro Tem. It says passed here as the vote was 5-0. I believe the vote was 3-2, and that's what's alluded to in the emailed minutes, not in the printed copy. So I'd like to see that corrected. Without that, I think everything's correct.
Councilman Ballman, I actually called Melissa earlier today to actually make the correction. There were no nay votes on that vote.
Mr. Mayor, is it your intent to take these individually?
We can, if you'd like to do that.
Make a motion to approve the November 22nd regularly stated minutes?
Second.
Has been probably motion and seconded to approve Town Council meeting minutes from November 22nd, 2021. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Those minutes are approved.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve all 4 special called meeting minutes.
second
November
this.
23rd, 29th, 30th, and December 7th. 2020.
Probably motion and seconded to approve the 4 special call meetings. Any further discussion?
As presented.
It's been probably motion and seconded to approve the special call minutes from November 23rd, November 29th, November 30th, and December 7th as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Thank you. We'll move tonight, Part 2, presentation from Gary Bailey of Love Bailey and Associates, and the subject is the Blythewood Financial Audit, year-end June 30th, 2021. Good evening, sir.
How are you guys doing? It's good to see all of you.
I was on my way down here, I was thinking it's always very pleasant to come here because you're all so nice, and then you start the meeting out with all these thank yous, and I thought, just proved my thoughts as I was coming down here. So it was very nice, and I'm a firm believer in our actions and attitudes can help a situation around us or make it worse. So you guys definitely have a good attitude, so I appreciate it. And it'll only get better because the town audit went very well. Is this too loud? Kind of echoing to me. Really, you have, Julie does a great job. And then you have Shane, CPA, coming in and reviewing, either off-site or coming in. But I think, again, you've been doing that for several years. We recommend that same model to a lot of small towns that have limited staff, or there's just not a need to have another full-time person. Now you have an external CPA firm who's doing that review for you. I think it's a great, just a great way to segregate duties or have an extra external review. So I would tell you to keep doing that. As I said, we actually suggest that to other towns. Sometimes they don't want to do it, but I try to let them know that it's really it just makes the whole process go really well. For instance, when we come in, we're auditing the prior year, 6/30/21, and when we come in, we have to have a clean trial balance to audit. If we are making too many journal entries, we actually can't be your auditor because we're now your accountant. But when we come in here, I mean, I don't even think we had a journal entry, which is a really good sign. I heard you talk about your preliminary budget meeting in January. When you start that and you're trying to see the first 6 months of activities, it's good to know that what you're looking at, you can rely on. And when the auditor comes, I'm not going to make 30 journal entries and change everything. And at that point, you've already started your next year's or completed your next year's fiscal budget. So I'm just saying that to just say I think the town's accounting and finance, your processes are in really good shape, and your finances are in good shape. So I'm going to just quickly, as you know, you have a GASB 34 model every town does when you file your financial statements. So what that means is there's basically 2 balance sheets and 2 income statements with every town's financials. I'm going to concentrate on the fund financials, which is the ones that you create your budget on. So it's the one that the town would be looking at regularly. I'm going to go over those briefly. By the way, the audit you have in front of you is an unqualified opinion. So that's the opinion you want, a clean opinion with no findings. So very good. That's very good for the town. I'm going to look over page 18, which is your statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. That's it. And so you can see across all the funds, you have your general fund, you have your 3 other funds there. You were right at 2.9 million in overall total revenue for the year. That's an increase of about 300,000 from the previous year. Came across mainly 3 main areas. Your state revenue, state shared revenue was up about 59,000 from the previous year. Your business license was up significantly, 168,000 from the previous year. And then the accommodation and hospitality tax as a whole was up 125,000. So some of that may have been COVID related from the previous year, and some things are starting to get back to normal that helped out this year. But the revenues were up, like I said, 300,000 across all the funds. And then your business expenses, they were up slightly, 40,000, but I would consider that to mainly be flat, just typical cost of living increases. You had some small salary and the benefits related to those increase. And then you had 15,000 of additional capital outlay. You'll see the capital outlay the town had was 44,000. That was, I believe that was a 2020 Ford 250, and then gate and irrigation at the park. That's basically where you spent that 44,000, and then your principal and interest payment there for the bond, and that's been consistent the last few years. You haven't added any new debt. So overall, you'll see that when you look at that middle line, excess or deficiency of revenues, you obviously want to have that as excess. That means you didn't use up cash flow from the previous year. And you can see y'all are just over $1,044,000, and that was up from 2020, which was $785,000. So up a good bit there. And then, of course, on your budget, you basically budget about a break even every year, like every town. And so you can see you were up quite a bit over your break even number on the general fund. If you're looking just at your general fund budget, if you budget a break even, you're at $500,000 there before you have any transfers. And that total transfers out is helping with the conference center, and I'll mention that in here in just a moment. So overall, really a very good year for the town again. So with the conference center, you can turn over a couple pages to page 21, and you can see how that's done. Of course, you've been trying to get that to a point where it's cash flowing itself. And it really was on a good track. It really was coming up to fiscal year 19. You had been seeing a nice upward trend. For instance, you'll see your rental income was $106,000 this past year. Well, in 18 and 19, that was $222,000 and $228,000, and you had a nice consistent uptick, and it was just about cash flowed in fiscal year 19 until COVID hit. So unfortunately, the general fund is still supporting the conference center at the moment. Hopefully, we'll get past this, and you'll start to see that tick back up and get back to close to a break even there. As I said, the revenue has been around 106. Maybe in 20, it might have actually been a little bit higher, maybe 110, 115,000, but still half of what it was prior to COVID. And then I'm going to end, if you'll flip back a couple of pages, you can see the balance sheet for the town on page 16. And please feel free to stop me if you have any questions. So on page 16, you'll notice across the top there, cash and cash equivalents. The town's at right at $2.7 million. That's unrestricted funds. That means that the town can use those funds how you see fit to use them in your budget every year. And then you have the restricted cash, which is mainly accommodation tax funds of $1.5 million. Just to give you a reference point, the town's unrestricted cash balance, because you've had good years over the last few years, it went from $1.8 million in 19 to 2.3 in 20 to almost 2.7 in fiscal year 21. So a nice steady incline. And then the AR balance, that's you'll see there $519,000. Most of that is like lost funds or franchise fees that the town collected in July and August. It's already been collected, but it belonged in fiscal year 21. So nothing unusual. Nothing unusual there. Most of the due from other funds is due to giving the money to help the conference center cash flow. And then, I mean, what you really love to see is you basically have no liabilities. I mean, just some normal just some normal flow of business AP there. But when you have $5.2 million in revenue and only $29,000 in liabilities, I mean, that's a balance sheet that everybody wants to see. And just a couple other things. So the fund balance increased to $5.2 million. We're looking at the general fund. 3.5 of it is unassigned. Again, can be used how the town wishes. But the unassigned fund balance represents about 262% of fiscal year 21 expenditures. To give you some reference points, the Governmental Financial Officers Association recommends you have at least, at a bare minimum, 16%, which is 2 months. And you guys the town has 2.5 years. So really well positioned to do a lot of things. So when you're thinking about future and what you want to do, I'm not advocating going out and spending all that money next year on your budget. I'm just saying you're in good financial shape. And then the last few things, the state retirement is underfunded, and the town gets a section amount of that put on your balance sheet. You don't have to turn to it, but a couple pages in front of this, you'll see that the town's portion of the pension liability is 1.118 million. That increased from 1.09. And the town currently matches 15.4, shouldn't say currently, at 6/30/21, because it actually went up another 1% in fiscal year 19. And every time it goes up 1%, how that affects the town, it costs the town about $6,000 more per year. So over the last 6 years, it's went up 5.5%. So fiscal year 22 will cost the town roughly $33,000 more in retirement match than it had to pay in fiscal year 16. So that's kind of, you don't have a principal interest payment for that liability, but you are paying it through increased contributions for employees. And like a lot of towns and governmental entities, it gets very expensive because you start getting to the point that you're paying 30, 40+% above the salary, and it gets very expensive on the town. And then the last point is the bonds outstanding is down to 3.2 million. The town's principal and interest payment requirement for next year on that bond is 319,000. So in very good shape to easily make that payment. So I'll just close by saying the town really is in very solid financial shape, and I wouldn't change. I think the combination of Julie and Shane, the CPA, works really well together. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, council?
It's kind of easy. I don't always get to present such good numbers, so it's kind of easy when you come in and it's only good news versus we got to figure out how to cut something or get some more revenue in here to pay for the operation. So this is an easy one. Maybe that's why you're all so nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Hope
Thank
you have a
you.
great New Year.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll move to part 3 tonight, appointments. We have a vacancy on the Board of Architectural Review and 2 on the Planning Commission. So it's my privilege and honor to nominate Ms. Cindy Nord to the Architectural Review, Mr. Jamal Mosley and Mr. Martin Wells to the Planning Commission. Any citizens being appointed wish to speak? Okay, gentlemen, you have the resumes. Do you have any questions at all? Again, in the spirit of volunteerism, I appreciate these individuals stepping forward, reaching out, offering their services to this town. Many folks are busy and don't have the opportunity, but these 3 have stepped up and are willing to make that opportunity and devote that time to the progress of Blythewood, and I really appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor,
Please, Councilman Griffin.
hearing no objections, I make a motion to approve all 3 as presented.
Second.
It's been probably motion and seconded to approve Ms. Cindy Nord to the Board of Architectural Review and Mr. Jamal Mosley and Mr. Martin Wells to the Planning Commission. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor,
Please.
are the appointees here?
Mr. Wells is here, I see. Yep.
Is either Ms. Nord or Mr. Mosley? Are they present?
I did speak with Mr. Mosley, and he said he had another conflict, but he would have liked to have been here. But and I left messages for Ms. Nord to let her know that she was on the agenda.
Mr. Wells, would you like to say anything to the council? Great, thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity. I will say that this will be a new experience for me. I'm retired from the Army now for 12 years, and I still work on Fort Jackson as a Department of the Army civilian. My wife and I, when we retired here, October of 2009, we lived in Lake Carolina for about 10, 11 years and moved to Cobblestone in April of 2020. And I've had it on my mind to be of some service to the community in which we live for many years now. Actually, May will be 7 years. I've served as the chairman of the Gateway to the Army Association, and our project is to plan, fund, and build Centennial Park on Fort Jackson. I've been a past president of Spring Valley Rotary Club. So again, looking to give back in any way I can. Tried to do that for 26 and a half years as a soldier in the world's greatest army, and just looking to carry over that mindset into community effort. And we're here in Blythewood to stay. We live on the second hole of the Garnet course on Cobblestone. Very blessed, so just looking forward to serve in any way we can to the community.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Moving to Part 4, action items tonight. And any citizen wishing to speak on any action item, just signify, and I'll absolutely address you and let you say what you would like to say. But the first reading, Part A of Ordinance 2021.015, discussion and approval of an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance to add a definition for window signs, which is section 155.427. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So both of these, I'll address both of them together because they go together. As you know, the town has architectural standards for commercial buildings that also pertain to their signage. And in that section of the ordinance, it states that there shall be compatibility between signage and site architectural building materials, colors, graphics, and other architectural features. In the town, over a number of years, has worked very hard to keep a traditional look to its commercial area, and it's becoming the town's brand as the properties get developed. And it's from that overarching guidance that these two text amendments are recommended by not only staff, but the Board of Architectural Review, the Planning Commission, and from what I've heard from the downtown business community. The first text amendment provides a definition of window signs, which we didn't really have before. It's always good to have a basis there, so we just established kind of a standard definition. And then the second text amendment references LED strip lighting and prohibits its use except when used as an informational sign or between this period of time, between Thanksgiving Day and New Year's Day, when businesses may decorate their facades for the holidays.
Questions, council?
Question for the administrator. Mr. Williamson, are we talking just around the windows? We're not talking about across a building with clear strips?
This text amendment just deals with window signs, and that's the section it's in. So that's the only thing that's being regulated, changed in this text amendment.
Mr. Williamson, you say that this recommendation was brought on by the BAR, the Planning Commission, downtown merchants. Like, who is driving this? Is this something that was brought to staff by outside individuals, or is this something that staff created and went out to the community and said, what do you think about that? And the feedback was, yes, we don't want to have this type of lighting. I'm not talking about the definition of a sign. I don't think that's up for debate tonight.
No, it was brought to staff. We did not go out to seek this out.
And can you disclose who?
Various members of the business community, chamber, the board, the leadership of the Board of Architectural Review, several of the leaders in the business community.
And are any of those individuals here to speak in favor of this text amendment?
I'm not sure if anyone has signed up to speak.
Are there current businesses in town that would be in violation if this ordinance is passed? And if so, who are they?
Not right now. We had a business that did have them up there, but they don't have them anymore.
So they took them down
Right.
because of the,
Well, we talked about, the language that I read about the compatibility is not really language that's like regulatory, but it's more like this is the purpose of this ordinance kind of thing. And so we expressed to them that this is not reflective of the architectural standards of the town, and they recognized that, and they said that they would take it down.
so they agreed with your
Correct.
position.
Well,
Well,
In action.
action speak, yes. Oh, which business was this?
It was in the IJ Shopping Center. I'm not sure the name of the exact business.
The new tobacco shop.
Okay, the tobacco shop.
Okay.
I see we have two citizens wishing to speak. Please come forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is George Schuler. I'm actually the managing partner. I'm a partner at Blythewood Tobacco and Vape. And my understanding is that this wasn't clearly defined. I mean, this is why we wouldn't have wasted money if we knew that we were aware of the ordinance that we couldn't have flashing lights. So we spent the money, which wasn't, it's like $3,000, it wasn't cheap, but we did it. And the whole idea is, I understand Blythewood, I'm not sure if it wants to look historical. I'm not sure what the idea is, but if you go to any smoke shop, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, New York, any smoke shop they have, this is the actual smoke shop look. So if once again, if this wasn't defined, we knew we couldn't have flashing lights. And when we first put them up, I had them flashing, they came and told us. And then after that, it just started, I don't know, it was almost like harassment or bullying. Someone would come, wouldn't say anything, would just be outside taking pictures or doing whatever, wouldn't say anything. Next day, somebody would come in, say something. And then the reason they're off right now is because we don't have the time or the energy to, and what was told to us is, I'm not gonna say who it was, but he said, hey, I was told to keep coming here every day until you guys turn these lights off. Which I think is a little bit unfair. It's like bullying us. There's no ordinance. Why are we getting this type of threat that you're going to keep coming every day until we turn these lights off? And like I said, my whole thing is it wasn't in there before. You go outside of Blythewood, you go anywhere. This is, and we're in 2021. LED lights, they've been around so long, so I don't understand. No offense, I don't know if this town's supposed to look like what Al Capone movie or something. I'm not sure. It's like 2021 now, and it's Blythewood. I don't know what's so historical about it. No offense, but the idea is, I don't understand why we can't have these lights, and I just think this is not fair. We spent this money. We knew that we couldn't have them flash, and we followed the ordinance, and now because a few people don't like it, they can just use whatever authority or whatever power, whatever influence they have to just, get this push across because they don't like it. I just think it's unfair, so that's really all I have to say.
Sir, question.
Go ahead, sir.
I'll go for it. My concern is you feel targeted and you feel bullied, correct?
Yes.
I just heard that.
Yes.
And you state that someone stands outside your business taking pictures that we're told to come back every day.
Yes, he came a few times, and the last time, the reason we turned him off is because he said, he's cool, and he's like, I'm just doing my job. And he's like, I've been told by, his boss, so I can't remember which word he used, but basically I have to come here every day that y'all have them on until y'all turn them off. This is what was told us, and that's the only reason we turned them off. Otherwise, me, if he wouldn't have said that, I would have just said, I'm gonna just keep them on, But once he said that, I was like, well, we don't have the energy for this, but, So that's what was told. That was what was told. He had to keep coming every day until we turned them off. And the reason he gave was because businesses were complaining. That's not my problem. I don't understand. That's not my problem, If you want your business to look like something from the 1920s, that's yours. But it's not my problem just because the business has problems with the way, we have LED lights in 2021. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think that's fair, and I'm going to step out on a limb and just say it because that's my personal opinion. I don't think that's fair to you as a business owner. Coming in and you invested those lights into it, and you turned off the flashing lights, which were identified in that ordinance. But the LED strips around the windows, a few people may disagree with. Thank you first off for being honest and being willing to come forward and speak the truth from what you have seen and lay out your business to us. And we thank you for coming to Blythewood to make Blythewood your business. And we want to keep you here. And we want to work with the business community to keep you here.
And thank you.
I will apologize up front. Can you tell me your name again?
George Schuler.
Mr. Schuler.
Yes.
All right. How long have you guys been in operation in the IGA shopping center? Approximately.
Since about October, since December last year.
You do-
So about a year,
obviously- About a year, and you're doing okay.
Yes, yes. Well,
And the LED lights around the window are what you would call a universal sign for a smoke shop, like the 3 red dots, pretty much symbols
Yes.
like an ABC.
Yes.
The big M says McDonald's.
yes. And it's brought us a lot of business.
So that's your
also.
branding, that's your marketing. Somebody drives by, they know exactly what that is.
Exactly, yes.
Do you think by turning off those lights, it will harm your business?
Yes, because when we had them on, a lot of people said, I've been living in Blythewood this long, and I never knew the store was here. A lot of people come in, and once they saw the lights, they knew that that type of store was there. They identified that this is a smoke shop, and they came. And they said, I've gone to IGA, I've been past this plenty of times, and I've never known this was here.
Your business is not right on Blythewood Road. It's actually set back
Yes.
off the road behind the bank, and I don't know what else is there. But so if the driving factor is it's too bright, well, that doesn't really hold water to me because you've actually got to go in the parking lot, walk up to your establishment before the lights are a little, what some people may say offensively bright. I also feel that it's unfair, that, like you said, a certain few individuals, they don't care for this, and you've had to expend resources to market and promote your shop to the community, and now you're being told, well, some people don't like that, so therefore you've got to stop. We cannot market ourselves as a business-friendly community and then pass ordinances that harm businesses. It's pretty straightforward. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schuler.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you
Mayor.
so much.
Yes, ma'am, you wanted,
Mr. Mayor, Mr.
go ahead.
Schuler,
I'm
I've got
sorry.
one question for you, if I may.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
I came by your shop. I actually heard this pass the Planning Commission as a recommendation to council, so I knew this was going to show up. So I set out about Blythewood to find a couple of businesses that may be in violation, and certainly yours came to mind. I think I saw either your manager or your partner. You've actually removed some of these LEDs from around the window casing, correct?
No, we turned them off that day we were told they were going to keep coming. So we turned them off that very minute. So they're still there. They're just off right now.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Okay, I was just there.
I was just there too.
They showed me the outside lights, but the lights that go around your window, the LED lights that go around the window. And the only reason I'm asking you this is because if you went to expense to buy those lights and you took them down, you're going to go to expense to put those back up, but you're telling me those lights are up?
I'm 100% sure those lights are. I know. I was just there.
I asked to see them, actually tonight, before this meeting.
Okay.
And they couldn't show them to me because they were down, which is fine. I did see the vape sign. They lit it up. I saw your open sign. They lit it up, but they could not light the windows up because they had been removed.
Okay.
That's what they told me when I was there. So, but my concern is there was an expense, possibly an expense both ways. And then Carol, I'll have a question for you after.
I'm going to,
Councilman Griffin.
yes. So just talking to my councilmate here, the business owner might felt a little intimidated that you came up and wanted to see it. And they
no.
could have just said that we
Yes,
took
sir.
them down.
Right.
Oh, not at all.
Just in that fear
I wanted to
of-
see them lit up at night was my issue. I also went by the cigar shop before this meeting tonight. So those were the two businesses that came to mind. There was no intent to bully. I just wanted to see the.
Right. I guess
The
to
lights
his
on.
point, we of course, of course we'll tell you no,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I don't want to vote on something without seeing it. So.
I'm saying, I guess the one, if you come say your lights on and we know that you guys are telling us to turn them off and trying to pass ordinances, we're going to tell you no. I mean, I hate to
And
say it.
that's what
Yes.
I was addressing there.
Yes, yes.
Because I rode by a few times myself just to see at night,
Yes.
not just take a picture or anything, just to see for myself.
Other comments, questions? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, Mr. Schuler.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey,
My name is Teresa. I'm from Blythewood Cigar and Wine. I was actually in the Downtown Merchants meeting when the topic came up, and several of us were there. And it came up in a general conversation from Mike Ross, and he asked, hey, you know, as we were talking about how to kind of bridge the gap amongst the community, the businesses within the community. So he asked what was our opinion. He gave his opinion of what he thought of the lights. You know, the bright lights, the flashing lights, the colorful lights. You know, he gave his personal opinion, and then he just basically opened it up to ask us for our feedback as well. And like I told him, I personally didn't see an issue with the lights, but we know the blinking lights, you know, are against the town's ordinance. So that's really the first time that conversation came up during the last quarterly meeting we had. And like you say, Councilman McHenry, you came by today and you asked our staff to show you the LED lights. You know, there's normally a reason why we as businesses do things, and it is good to know, you know, as our leadership, to get out there and find out the why. Because I don't think we just wake up and want to, you know, do something if it doesn't contribute to our marketing and our business being successful. So we appreciate you coming by tonight. We weren't there, however, you know, the perception was you came by just to hurry up and go see the lights, you know, and come back. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, there's probably two businesses that are impacted by it. It's ours as well as the smoke shop. So it can be very challenging, you know, the approach that's been taken with this, because we don't have lights, LED lights in our window. However, we do have LED lights, and John will probably cover that real quick as to why we do have them. But just to get to where we are as a result of someone's personal opinion, it's just kind of frustrating and disappointing as you try to, you know, keep your business afloat. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, real quick, and you may can answer, or maybe Mr. Edwards. When you have your lights on, I noticed you're kind of off the beaten path, let's just say a little bit. Do you think that these lights add an element of safety around your building?
Well, the lights, that's the main reason lights were put up, for an element of safety. We sit basically in the wood line. So we have a lot of people that come in and say, man, we didn't even know you guys existed. We didn't even know there was a business back here. Because we sit way off of Langford Road, not close to any street. So with those lights off, you wouldn't even know Blythewood Cigar and Wine existed. So those lights weren't put up for anybody visual stimulation. It was put up for safety, first off. And absolutely, we have 3 businesses back there. So I second what Mr. Schuler said. You know, I personally as well feel targeted, because this is not the first. We've been here at the barbershop for 5 years, and seems like it's always something that's coming up with one of the businesses that we own there. We own 3 businesses here in Blythewood. We love Blythewood. We bought a house here in 2007, and together, me and my wife did over 50 years in the Army, over 50 years, and we decided to make this place our home. So when we start to feel targeted, and we start to feel that it's personal. I know, Mr. Councilman, you came there tonight, you know, for the first time, but you came with an agenda. I believe that, and your agenda was to come back and to try to defend us having lights. You know, there's only 2 members on the board that stands in front of us that have visited Blythewood Cigar and Wine, or Upscale Cuts and Styles, you know, and that's Mr. Brock and Mr. Griffin. You know, and we appreciate you guys, you know. But I think us as a community, rather than us nitpick little small stuff like some lights, we should be trying to bring this community together and visit the small businesses and ask us, how can we help you guys? How can we potentially maybe get more light poles out there? Or what can we do for you as a small business? Because everybody up here was elected, and you guys were voted upon by the citizens of Blythewood. You know, and what do you really give back to the small businesses is my question. So, hey, I don't know what to say, but I do not have a problem, my wife don't have a problem with following orders, rules, and regulations. Because for over 50 years combined, we did that in the military. So if it's decided that we have to take the lights down, we would do that without a problem. But I just ask you guys to take a real good close look at yourselves and what you're giving back to these small businesses. You know, because we chose to be here in Blythewood. Blythewood didn't choose us. We chose Blythewood. And we love this little town. And we want to stay here. But the resistance that we get sometimes, it is so frustrating. And Mr. Schuler, he's feeling the same thing right here, and he haven't even been here but a year. We've been here 5 years. So, Mr. Schuler, I tell you, man, hey, join the group. Join. So, I think that we really need to take a serious look at ourselves. And I don't know, y'all have any questions for me? I'm all right.
John, I'll just add, I'm disappointed. I've been there 3 times this year alone. Spoke to her. Keith Bailey and I came in, had a beer, smoked cigars. I just want to clear the record, because I supported you ever since you opened, but.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick
Go
question.
ahead, please.
Mr. Edwards, it's my understanding that, Carol, will you correct me if I'm wrong, but this ordinance would not affect the lights Mr. Edwards has up at his business?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm not familiar
I mean,
with the lights.
he has white lights up along the eave of the main building.
Yeah, I mean, the ordinance is about window signs. Signs is the key word there.
Which is another reason I visited your business tonight, because as I read this ordinance, as it passed planning commission, this ordinance wouldn't affect Blythewood Cigar and Wine. So I came to ask the employee, are there window lights that I'm not aware of? Because the only lights I see up are the white lights that go across the eave of your building.
Right.
So
We do not have any window lights. But I don't just stand up here tonight for Blythewood Cigar and Wine. I stand up here for other people that's in a similar situation. So I'm not just up here for me. Trust me.
So my concern, and that's why I asked that question in the beginning, my concern is that this is a trickle-down effect.
Precursor, yes.
If we sit here and we're looking at, and I'm not, if we sit here and look at the lights around the window, the next thing we're gonna do, they'll be back up here with the clear lights around their building. That's clearly a security type of lighting around the facility. So that's where my concern was, and that's why I asked that question, was on those lights. But I am concerned, like the gentleman, Mr. Schuler, that's concerning to me. And I think a few more council members, maybe 1 or 2, that's concerning that if 1 or 2 citizens have an issue with something, it goes all the way up to the highest level quick as possible. And we're affecting people that came here to open businesses just like they did. So I'm concerned with that.
Yeah, I want to echo what Councilman Griffin said. I do believe that this would, thank you, Mr. Mayor, this would be a precursor to removing LED strips on other parts of various buildings. And, if people are concerned about LED lighting and bright lighting, a majority of our businesses, especially those on Blythewood Road, are corporate. They're going to have to adhere to corporate standards. This ordinance targets local small business. It's clear. It's not business friendly. And again, we can't market ourselves as a business friendly town and punish the mom and pops, the small businesses, with an ordinance that actually impairs their ability to market their services and businesses. I can't support that, ordinance 16, so.
Good evening. I'm Roxanne. I live in Blythewood, and I'm coming to you as a resident of Blythewood, and also I'm understanding about African-American Black businesses as well, and the things that we go through. But as a resident of this town, there are some businesses, and I'm not saying any particular names, that does come to the residents here in Blythewood and want to put up any and all kind of business and not adhere to the ordinances. And I know the Blythewood Cigar Bar, you're advertised everywhere. I see you all the time. And if someone want to come to your business, they're going to come, best believe that, especially if it's good as the cigar bar. Now, as far as lights around other things, vape shops and stuff like that, this is a wholesome community, and I love Blythewood, and I've been living here for almost 5 years. And like I said, from a resident standpoint, I truly, and I plead to the town council to take that into consideration for our residents, because we do not want to attract unwanted businesses, because along with vape shops, there's other things that come along with that can kind of put a dimmer on the town in which I call home. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hannigan, were you speaking in favor or against this ordinance?
I feel it's a privilege to do business in Blythewood because you have access to a whole lot of financial ability to stabilize your business and continuance business. So I am against having lights, sorry. Thank you, but that's as a resident.
Council, I'm James McLean, or Jim McLean, and I'm Chair of the Architectural Review Board. I think we need to set the record straight. This really originated in the BAR. It has nothing to do other than trying to regulate signage in town, and based on the vision of the town is regarding lighting and its compatibility with what we're trying to achieve. I think it was felt that this, anytime that you light an entire perimeter of a window, that exceeds the normal goal of what we're trying to do as far as the town lighting itself is concerned. And so it came from the Architectural Review Board. We do have the responsibility of regulating and approving signage, and it has more to do with the aesthetics of the signage than it does anything else along those lines. And I think we just need to be careful that, the town has a dark sky attitude and certainly a goal as far as trying to keep lighting down in the town, to keep it aesthetically pleasing and not basically in your face. And I think this was tending to go outside of what the vision of the town was regarding keeping signage on a low-key type basis in that regard.
Questions for Mr. McLean? Anybody?
And really, this is being supported by the Architectural Review Board based on what we're challenged to do as far as monitoring and keeping the town in an aesthetic appearance.
Mr. McLean, do you recall the vote on that? Was it a unanimous from the Board of Architectural Review to?
I don't recall, but I don't recall any opposition to it.
I don't know if there was a vote, but there was just a discussion or a
Certainly a
request for the staff to look at that.
Okay.
Right, and I think our request went to the Planning Commission for the same purpose. Right.
And it was a unanimous vote of the Planning Commission.
I see. Thank you. So now we're looking at 2021.015, the window signs.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2021.015.
Windows, I'll second the window signs.
Right. It's been probably motioned and seconded to approve the first reading of ordinance 2021.015. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Was that aye or nay, sir?
I'm opposed.
The ayes have it. The first reading passes.
Is that what, 4-1?
4-1. Part B tonight, the first reading of ordinance 2021.016, discussion and approval of an ordinance to add a subsection prohibiting the use of LED strip lighting in window signs with exceptions, and that's in accordance with section 155.430.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to deny ordinance 2021.016.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to deny ordinance 2021.016, first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor of denying the ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. First reading fails. And thank you all for coming tonight, and we appreciate your feedback. Part C, discussion and approval of an H-tax request for fiscal '22 Soda City Classic Girls Softball Tournament. Mr. Williamson.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
can we back up just one
Please.
second? Mr. Williamson, can we give, because the cigar shop is here, the vape shop is here, both of these businesses certainly would like window signs to advertise their business. One is not going to be allowed to use the LED lights. Can we give some clarification to the particularly these two, but other small businesses that, because what we've done is we've denied the LED exemption and then we changed the window sign. So I want to be clear to the small businesses so there's no question to them moving forward. Does that make sense?
Certainly. I mean, so of the existing, so the first ordinance is just a definition that's not meant to, there's nothing enforceable. It's just a definition to get on the same level playing field. But so the window signs is in a section called exemptions, and then within that, then it has restrictions within the exemption sign that regulate, that are existing on as far as window, but it doesn't have to do with lighting. Yeah, I mean, we can, so.
Because my fear is, and Mr. Schuler, I'm particularly speaking of your small business, because as the action council just took tonight, you can put your lights back up, or you can turn your lights on. But I want to make sure you're following the window sign, because some of your LED lights are on your window sign. And I'm in favor of you keeping those signs in the windows and your LED lights on. I just want to make sure that as we further define this tonight, he's not going to be in violation of either. When he goes back and turns his signs on,
Right.
is he going to be in violation of any action taken tonight?
We'd have to look, I mean, we have to just look at it. I mean,
Yeah, see,
I mean,
that's
I'm
the
not-
clarification I'm after for you, because I don't want you to go back and open for business tomorrow and somebody show up to say you're in violation of an ordinance. So, and I would encourage you to meet with Mr. Williamson and/or Mr. Wilson to just make sure you're, because what I heard you say at the microphone is you want to obey the ordinances of this town. And what we did tonight was voted against banning LED lights, which again means you can turn your lights back on. Don't want somebody to show up at your business tomorrow and say, yeah, but you can't turn that on. So just want to make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, I can certainly communicate with Mr. Schuler immediately tomorrow.
Yeah, just a reminder, this is the first reading, so it's
First
not in
reading,
effect
It's
yet.
not in effect.
Okay,
But it would mean he
Yeah.
could turn his lights on.
right, no, that's true. If it doesn't violate existing, yeah. Okay. Part C tonight, Mr. Williamson.
So this is the application for an H-tax request. This application was submitted by the Blythewood High School Softball Booster Club, is obviously past the deadline for fiscal year 2022. The it will be held on April 9th, 2022, and the applicant acknowledges it's past the deadline, but is requesting $4,000 of hospitality tax funding for the event. And just for last year's event, Town Council on March 2nd, 2021, awarded $2,980 for the tournament that was held on April 3rd. And just one additional note is that the applicant stated in the application that they are trying to hold the tournament at Blythewood Park if it's available instead of the Kelly Mill Sports Complex.
Discussion, council?
Mr. Mayor, is this applicant here?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please, Councilman Brock.
Mr. Williamson, the last time this council awarded the applicant funds was February 23rd of 2021. Were they also outside the application period in their initial funding?
Yeah, I had I had March
Okay,
2nd.
yeah,
It was
they were.
outside of, I had March 2nd.
That was the Westwood High School baseball tournament, and they fell under the same predicament this group falls under, in that Richland School District 2 did not give approval until late in the year, so it was impossible.
So there was no softball?
There-
Basically, there was no softball sponsored by Richland 2 unless we gave them some money to have a softball?
No, they just didn't authorize these large tournaments. Matter of fact, they canceled them all, and then when they changed their mind and allowed, that's when Westwood High School came, and then that's why this group is coming. That's what I've been told. It was a late approval, so they were anticipating not having it. That's why they didn't meet the February application, because as you recall, they came before us before and knew about the application deadline.
And we made an exception the first time?
We
Correct.
did.
And now they're asking for an exception once again?
That's correct.
Correct. And so,
Okay.
Other discussion?
Well, we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner here, gentlemen, because we've made an exception for Westwood baseball, and we told the Gateway to the Army to come back and apply during the application period. Either we have it, when we took the position last time, is either we have a policy that we're going to follow or we don't. great event outside the application period.
Right, but
we
as
have
as I recall, we also discussed the fact that the Gateway program would receive funds. There's no hard stop for them. This tournament is scheduled, and they have a hard stop. So we agreed to defer the Gateway, the Centennial Park project, until when they apply for it in February. And the funds can then go anytime during the year to them, whereas the softball has a set date. I think that's the difference here.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Griffin.
Mr. Williamson, question. How does other municipalities deal with their deadlines for applications? I mean, is it an exception made for things like this, or what's your knowledge on that?
I'm fairly limited in my knowledge of that, but I think, they certainly entertain requests. I think it's just dealt with on a case-by-case basis for small towns. I just can't speak to the Richland County and how they do things exactly with their hard and fast, but I know that requests have come up outside of a certain period. That's not really answering your question very well.
That's all.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman McHenry.
My difficulty with this is two-faceted. The first is the applicant is not here to answer questions, which causes me a little bit of concern. Second is when council approved this application, it was outside the application process in 2021. They awarded $2,980 for the tournament and then subsequently gave the 20% when the final report was given. And then tonight, also outside the application process, but they're asking for $4,000. And when you look at who attended last year versus the projected attendance for this year, it's virtually the same. So this year, they're asking us to underwrite 100% of this tournament. So, and again, I'm a fan of softball. I'm also a fan of process. So based on the fact that the applicant is not here tonight, I would make a motion to deny the application as presented and hope that if the applicant wants to reapply and be present to answer council's questions, that may be able to happen next month. That the application process opens, what's the date of the opening of the application?
January 3rd. We can get them out before.
Yeah, so
but,
we're right there.
right.
So, yeah.
That's for the following, not for this tournament.
Correct.
Right.
Steve?
Fiscal year.
23.
Correct.
23. It's going to be an exception no matter what.
Correct. Yes, sir. So I'll restate my motion. I would make a motion we deny this application based on the fact that the applicant is not present.
I will second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to deny the H-Tax request for fiscal 2022 Soda City Classic Girls Softball Tournament. Any discussion? I will just offer that we have supported the boys' athletic programs every single time they've come. This is the first, or actually the second time, Westwood Girls, Queens of the Castle basketball we approved, but they didn't hold it due to COVID, and now this. And I think the signal we're sending is inconsistency. This is why the word exceptions exist. But to fund the boys and not the girls is a non-starter in my opinion.
Discussion.
Councilman Griffin.
Can we, a part of our next budget session, can we discuss exceptions for activities such as this?
We can. I
mean,
believe
if
we
we
did
go-
last time when we passed the policy, we said there will be exceptions, and we all acknowledged it on this board, with the exception of Mr. McHenry, who was not here. Because there'll be a group that comes in with a great idea, and we have the funding to do it. Maybe it's a cure for cancer, 5K run, and those things, they can't meet the deadline. Or the school district holds up the process because they don't approve the tournament, and then when they do, that's when the groups come back. That's my opinion.
I don't think we defined exactly what that was. We just stated that there could be persons or groups come in asking for funds. But I think we need to define those a little bit better with some of those exceptions.
Absolutely.
And we probably need to get someone on board with the schools too, because we can't be there. I mean, we support these events, but we need to be on the same page with them to communicate it, or they're gonna have them. Go ahead and apply anyway, get it on the books. So if the school district does say no or yay, whatever, they still have it on the books.
Excellent idea.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I would agree with your comments, only to the point that if somebody's asking this council to give them $4,000, and my question to the organization, if they were here, would be, are there tournaments being offered in 2022? The ask in 2021, Steve, and you can help me if I'm incorrect, was they came before council and asked for money because the school district canceled the tournaments because of COVID, and they wanted an opportunity for their girls to play. Are the tournaments canceled currently? And that's kind of a loaded question because I called both high schools. They are not. So again, it's not that I don't want to support student athletic programs. It's the fact that somebody gave an application, they're not here to speak on its behalf, and the fact, I was in the audience certainly, but the part of the discussion on council in approving last year's application was the girls did not have an avenue to play because of COVID. They now have that avenue to play. And then Westwood, interesting conversation with Westwood because they didn't know they were allowed to come and ask for money. And this would be Blythewood High School's second go-round. So again, and I'll harken back to the Planning Commission. If somebody comes to apply at the Planning Commission, because that was my previous position, and they have an application before us and they aren't there to speak on the application, it's not that I disagree with the application, but you're unable to answer specific questions about it. And I think money's money, and this is outside the process. So it's not that I don't believe in softball or I don't want to support athletics. It's the fact that we can't ask the applicant the question. So, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Please, Councilor Brown.
Just 2 points. I actually disagree with your position of we're not being consistent. I think by following the policy, we actually are being consistent. We're saying we have a policy, we have an open and a closed deadline, and if you don't apply within those dates, then you'll have to wait to the following fiscal year. So I actually do think we're being consistent if this request is denied. And my second point is, at some point, and to kind of echo what Councilman Griffin said, we have to stop being the checkbook for Richland 2 athletics. I mean, we fund almost every event here. And, you know, it's at some point, Blythewood needs to keep some of that money to do other things. I love student athletics. I was a student athlete in high school. Probably most of us were up here. As far as I know, Cherokee County and City of Gaffney never gave us any money. So, you know, we found a way to make it work. I'm not saying that we just cut everybody off down to zero, but you know, we are stewards of the town's finances, and as a fiscally responsible individual, at some point, we've got to say, hey, you know, our purse is only so deep, and now that, you know, the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, and we're funding more and more and more athletic events, everybody is going to come and show up with hat in hand, and we're continuing to see it. So we've got to figure out a way to, in my opinion, dial back the financing of especially 100% financing of all these athletic events that Richland 2 can absolutely pay for. They got $500 million. That's my position, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just clarify again, we had Westwood High School out of cycle. They came before us, we approved their request. That's why I say we're being inconsistent, because this is the exact same circumstance. Richland 2 approved the tournament. Now they come before us out of cycle, and we're up here saying we're going to try to be better stewards of town money. Secondly, the money that we give out is exactly why I directed, we rewrote and created a policy, Steve, Mr. Williamson, and before him, Mr. Cook, that talked about this application deadline to get the budget on track. But every time we vote on it, I always look personally at what's in it for Blythewood. This softball team held their tournament, and there was a lot of consternation about this on Kelly Mill Road. That's why they only asked for $2,900. And if you recall, she said, when we come back next year, we're going to have more advertising. We're going to do it in Blythewood, which means the town of Blythewood will benefit by filling the hotels, just like the golf tournaments do, just like the Diamond Invitational baseball tournament does. So we will reap the benefit of giving this $4,000 to this softball team. So I see it as an exception. We've already had the precedent, as you say, with Westwood High School. I see no reason why we shouldn't approve it tonight. That's my final comment. Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Hesser.
Mr. Mayor, just,
Please, Councilman McKinley.
Mr. Hasrock, did I hear you right that this application was turned in May?
Further discussion? All in favor of disapproving the H-Tax request for fiscal '22 Soda City Classic Girls Softball Tournament, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Ms. Cowan, please call the roll. No.
No.
Yes.
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 And the request is denied. Thank you, gentlemen. Open citizen comments tonight. Anyone wishing to address the council and the public at large? Seeing none, we'll move to an executive session per South Carolina Section 30-4-70, Part A, receipt of legal advice relating to claims and potential claims by and against the town and other matters covered by attorney-client privilege, and Part B, discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements. The specific example or the specific subject is hiring a new town attorney. Be looking for a motion to move into executive session after a 5-minute recess.
So moved.
Second.
It's been probably motion seconded to go into executive session after a 5-minute recess. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Possibly. Yes, ma'am. I don't know for sure.